Yasin, I'm sorry you can't follow an argument, but let's be clear. The Pact of Umar does this. It restricts the rights of Christians and turns them into second-class citizens.
That's not what it says here.
Well, let's go into it. This is the kind of things that it says. It says that Christians can't restore places that it can't repair.
As a request for protection of Christians. Protection.
Yeah, that's the preamble given commentary.
This is AI.
What are the rights? What are the actual rights? What restrictions does the Pact of Umar? Because I can Google it as well.
Head tax in exchange for protection and exemption.
What does it say about the repairing of churches?
You said all laws, right?
Oh my gosh.
A head tax, that's the jizya tax you were talking about.
Thank you.
For Jews and Christians.
Correct.
In exchange for
yes.
protection and exemption from military services. So
protection from who?
From other countries.
No, protection from the Ummah. Protection from Muslims. Look, I'm going to give you one more chance to read honestly what he's saying in the Pact of Umar, or I'll just get it myself. Yasin, listen. Yasin. Yasin, listen. Yasin. Yasin. How about I read it?
Okay, read it.
Right.
Read it.
Listen. Let's look into it.
One by one.
1 second. Let's. May I?
Not that good.
May I? Okay. Is this AI? Right. Here's the thing. The Pact of Umar says, and this is what he didn't want to read, the prohibition of Jews and Christians from holding government office. Now let me ask you this question. If we passed a law...
Can a Muslim become prime minister?
Yes, yes, yes. Let me ask you this question. Yasin.
No.
Yasin, yes you can.
Muslim Arab.
Yasin, Yasin.
Can a Muslim Arab become a...
Yes. What's his name again?
No, I'll show you.
Wait. So it's your phone, sorry. I can't pull it.
No.
Right? So here's the point. Yasin doesn't understand the country his parents migrated to. Because unlike me, in a Muslim country, Yasin can become the Prime Minister of this country. But no Christian migrant to Saudi Arabia could ever become the ruler of Saudi Arabia. And the proof is in Humza Yusuf, who became the first minister of Scotland, who was a Muslim. We've had Muslim ministers of the Exchequer, Muslim foreign secretaries.
No. Arabic.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, in the Pact of Umar that Yasin got, it says that Christians and Jews can't join the government. If we passed a law that said Muslims cannot join government, would you say that that was Islamophobic? Yes. So in other words, if we do it to the Muslims, it's bad. But if they do it to us, it's okay. Do you condemn the Pact of Umar?
I'm still reading. I can't condemn it in 5 minutes.
Can you condemn that law of the Pact of Umar that says,
Which law?
the one that says prohibition on Jews and Christians holding government office? Do you condemn it?
No, you can't condemn it.
You can't condemn it. But you said if I could prove to you religious intolerance...
You're talking about now or back then?
1 second.
Because Islamophobia now is different to Jewophobia and whatever.
Christophobia.
Then, right?
Is Sharia law applicable all the time?
Yes, it's applicable all the time.
So does that law apply today?
This isn't Sharia law.
Can a Christian become a caliph?
Is the Pact of Umar the Sharia law?
Can a Christian become the caliph? Yes, that was their interpretation. That was their fiqh.
No.
That was fiqh.
No, that's not their interpretation.
Do you know what
Sharia
fiqh
law.
is?
No, I don't know what fiqh is.
I'm having to teach you a lot about your deen here, Yasin. Right? Fiqh is the legal, it is the opinion about how you apply Sharia law. The Pact of Umar is fiqh. And it's practiced by the madhabs. Type in, can Christians rule over Muslims in Hanafi or Hanbali? What's the others? I forget. Maliki or Shafi? Ask can Christians rule over Muslims? In which madhab says that they can do that?
It's the prohibition of Jews and Christians from holding government office.
Correct. And you said if we did that to Muslims, that's Islamophobic.
Now.
Yeah.
But back then it's different.
So can Muslims hold office, or can Christians hold office over Muslims today under Sharia law?
Sure.
No, they can't. Sharia law prohibits Christians from ruling over Muslims. That's the fiqh of all the madhabs.
What do you mean rule over? Is this a Christian country?
No, not really.
Is Ireland a Christian country?
Nope.
Can you name one Christian country?
The Vatican.
Another Christian country.
The Vatican would be a Christian country.
If I went to live in Poland,
Right, he's checking. Don't let him check out of this conversation. What? There is.
I'm saying, as a Muslim right now, if I go live in Poland, you said Christians can't rule over me, right?
Right. I believe in
So what
it.
does that mean?
Well, let me give you an example. I believe that in a Christian government, Muslims can achieve high office, so long as they implement laws according to Christian principles. But that is not true in Islam.
Yes.
Muslims can't. Now notice, before he didn't know, he had to check, but all of a sudden he's stealing my answer to try and make Islam look okay.
What do you mean stealing your answer?
Literally, you're about to steal my... No.
Muslims can't live under Christian rule. If I went to live in Poland, am I an effed up Muslim? No. A lot of Muslims live in Poland.
Correct.
What does that mean for your argument?
Right, Yassine, here's what it means.
This is without understanding, so imagine I knew as well.
Yeah.
Imagine the other people.
You'd be arguing. You'd be arguing different if you understood. But the point is, Yassine, you're trying to just.
So this is not religious subjugation.
It is religious subjugation.
People are allowed to live.
But they can't. But they can't enter.
They were killing them.
They can't. Yassine.
There wasn't negotiation.
Yassine, listen.
So what does that mean?
Yassine, these are sound bites, not arguments. Firstly, the Muslims under Christian rule live better than under Muslim. Sorry, the Muslims under Christian rule live better under Christian rule. The Muslims lived under Muslim rule.
I don't think so.
Yes, they did, ladies and gentlemen. Furthermore, you said it was Islamophobic if we barred Muslims from government. But you won't condemn the Pact of Umar that says that Christians should be barred from high government. I've demonstrated that Islam teaches religious discrimination. Now, all you have to do is condemn the Pact of Umar. Just condemn that rule.
That rule, not the pact.
Yeah, well, if you condemn that one rule, you're condemning the pact. You're saying it's flawed. Will you condemn that rule?
The rule's talking about back then.
Will you condemn that rule?
Which rule?
The one that says Jews and Christians can't be in government. Will you condemn that rule?
But it's not even true.
What's not true?
I'll tell you why it's not true.
Right, go on then.
Who knows about the story where it was the main physician of the Sultan back in the day, I think in the Ottoman Empire, was a Jew. Is the main physician.
He's a physician. He's not in government.
Oh, so it's only a government job.
Well, physicians are not government, bro. No one thinks like that. No one thinks your local GP is in the government.
So if I find any Jew or Christian in government back then, that announces everything?
No, I'll give you an example. During the occupation of Spain, the Caliph of the Caliphate of Cordoba allowed Jews to rule over the Muslims.
Oh.
And you know what it resulted in? An anti-Semitic riot that led to the death of 5,000 Jews and the toppling of that government. That's what it led to. So let's see.
For example, common before the modern period for non-Muslims to serve in Islamic government, despite the supposed prohibition. Why is that? What does that mean?
Because when the Muslims invaded Christian land,
why were some allowed to be in the government?
I'm going to explain.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example.
Give me an example.
John of Damascus. And the reason why was because when Muslims invaded Christian land, they invaded lands that already had an administrative structure on top. And the Arabs didn't have the education to do the kind of projects that they wanted to do. And so when they wanted to build a fleet to besiege Constantinople, they didn't have the wit or the education to do that. So John of Damascus was the administrative functionary that managed the building of the fleet, because the Arabs had just come out of the desert and they didn't know the first thing about building fleets. But as Muslims came to dominate, they increasingly pushed Christians out of government.
You said they're not allowed in the government. They were.
The fact that Muslims don't practice Islam properly doesn't mean
that Islam is incorrect.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't mean it's true either.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
That was my main point. Muslims doing a lot of that.
Can you show me any Islamic fiqh that says that a Christian can rule over a Muslim?
I'm saying if every Muslim believed and Islam was messed up, there were some Christians and Jews in positions of government.
Okay.
And in positions of power.
Yassine, let's come back to the issue that you're running from. What's the jizya tax?
I think I'm done. But
goodbye, Yassine. Take care.
Deuteronomy 16:3 says to kill anyone that doesn't believe in the same God as you.
Yassine, I'll come back to you. Yassine, do you have a Bible, bro?
No, I'm Muslim.
Right, I'd like to give you a gift. That's okay. I'd like to give you. I don't believe in the Quran, but I've got a Quran. I'd like to give you a gift.
I have a Bible.
You have a Bible at home?
I don't read the Bible. Wait, which Bible?
The Bible.
I only have King James Bible.
Yeah, well, that's what you've got. If you've got a Bible, you've got a Bible. Brilliant. Have a read of it. Come back and ask your questions when you want to. But let me ask you this question: why have you got a book you don't read?
I have a question. I have read it.
Oh, you do read it?
Not finished reading. I have read it.
Okay.
Is it true that the oldest Bible, like the oldest manuscript that you have, is much older than Jesus?
No,
true?
that's well. Obviously the Bible comes in two testaments.
I've actually never asked the Christian one.
I'm going to answer the question.
No, I know you're.
So the Bible comes in two testaments: Old Testament and New Testament. The Old Testament, our oldest manuscripts of the Old Testament come from the 1st century. They're in the Dead Sea Scrolls, so they're contemporaneous to the life of Jesus.
Wait, 1st century?
Yeah, they're contemporaneous to the life of Jesus. Yes.
The one that was supposed to be revealed to Moses.
The Old Testament doesn't just refer to the books that were revealed to Moses. It also includes the Psalms of David, which you call the Zabur. It also includes the prophets like Isaiah, who you believe in.
They all lived much before the 1st century, no?
Correct. But you asked me about the oldest manuscript.
Right.
I'm answering that question.
For the New Testament.
When is
the oldest one?
Let me ask you this question, Yassine.
Answer my question.
I have answered your question.
The New Testament, when is the oldest manuscript that we have?
Are you wanting a fragment or something complete?
Either.
So the oldest
fragment.
So the oldest fragment, you can see it in Manchester, you can go and see it yourself. The oldest fragment dates to around 125 AD.
125 AD.
Correct.
125 AD.
Now let me ask you a question, because this isn't a one-way street. What is your oldest copy of the Quran? When is it dated to?
Around 20 years after Prophet Muhammad.
That's a lie.
What is it then?
Your oldest complete Quran, according to Islamic tradition, is the top copy and what's the other one? I think it is actually the top copy. But the people that date the Quran date it to the 8th century. Now, can you explain to me, Yassine?
568 to 645.
No, these are portfolios. The Birmingham portfolios, the manuscripts that were found in Birmingham, are not complete Qurans. I asked you about complete Quran.
It can't be 568 anyway.
Yeah.
No, dated between them. So
yes.
Not 516.
Yeah. So.
But nothing is dated to the time of Jesus.
Do you know why? Do you know why?
Because a lot of translations.
No, because Because
Jesus is Aramaic, I heard.
Yassine, just repeating sound bites doesn't help you learn,
What sound bite?
right?
What does that mean?
You asked me a question about why is there nothing dated to the time of Jesus?
Yeah.
Like
how can you
are you
check
listening, Yassine?
You have to answer my question.
I'm trying to, but you keep interrupting every time I try to answer your question.
You're gonna answer my question?
I'm trying to, but you keep interrupting every time I try to answer your question. So the reason why is that back 2,000 years ago, at the time of Jesus, people wrote on what was called papyri, papyrus. Papyrus is an organic material. It's not like paper. I know paper is an organic. It's essentially leaves. They essentially wrote on leaves. Leaves, by their nature, just rot over time.
And it's lost.
It's lost, but that doesn't mean it wasn't copied. Are you aware of that?
What do you mean it wasn't copied?
Well, obviously, a person
original
copies a
writing's
book. Can you show me a full Quran from the 7th century? No, you can't.
That wasn't my question.
I'm asking you a question. Can you show me a full Quran from the 7th
You're a Christian
century?
preaching Christianity. I'm a Muslim coming to learn from you.
But no. You're interrupting every question. So you're not here to learn. You're here to make
answered the
arguments.
question, right?
Yes. So
that question you answered, can I ask a follow-up?
yeah, but when you answer my question, I'm asking you a question because I'm asking you
I'm
one.
not even that informed. You're informed.
Yeah, great. So let me educate you.
Okay, educate.
Right. So you can't find a full copy of the Quran from the 7th century. Now, please explain to me how, when the Muslims had an entire empire and all the resources of an empire, let me finish, all the resources of an empire at their disposal, that we can't, and that people were writing on paper in the 7th century, that with all that, you can't find a full and complete Quran from the 7th century. Your earliest Quran comes from a century later. Why? What's going on? Please answer that question.
It says the fragments found in the Birmingham manuscript.
I said complete copy,
No.
not fragments.
These fragments, they're in line with what we have today.
No, the carbon dating is earlier than Muhammad.
But the one you talked about, oldest Bible, 125 AD, which isn't full, I just searched it up.
Yeah, it's a fragment.
Yeah. That fragment, it says some verses are left out. Is that true?
No, that fragment doesn't say that at all.
No, not the fragment. What Google says. Google says that modern scholars don't agree that some verses weren't left out.
Right, you're confusing two different things there.
Explain it to me.
Right. So, firstly, you've got an issue in Islam. You have no complete Quran from the 7th century,
Right.
despite the fact that you had the power of an empire and people were writing on paper.
Not when Muhammad came.
Now let me explain why that's a problem. Yassine. Because when Christianity converted the Roman Empire in the 4th century, and suddenly we found ourselves with the power of an empire, what emerges? The first complete copies of the Bible. You can see them today. You can go to the library and you can go and see the Codex Vaticanus and the Codex Sinaiticus. They are earlier than Islam. The moment the Christians had the power of an empire, we suddenly see full Bibles appearing. But yet Muslims are telling us they had the power of an empire, but yet they haven't managed to preserve a single Quran from the 7th century when we managed to preserve a Bible from the 4th century when we had the power of an empire. Why? What's going on?
First of all, Islam didn't start out with the great empire rule that they had, right? Muhammad didn't start out with the great empire.
When did the Muslim empire start?
Is that true or not?
When did it start?
Is it true or not?
Muhammad did have an empire, yes, in Arabia.
No.
Yes, he did. Did he conquer Arabia?
No, he didn't actually. Muhammad himself didn't conquer Arabia.
Yes, he conquered Mecca. Yes, he conquered Mecca.
And anyway,
the tribes in the north of Mecca were paying zakat to Muhammad.
Saudi Arabia, a few cities here and there that all had tents.
That was pretty much the population of America. That's an empire, bro. If you rule more than one place as a ruler, that's an empire. It's a small empire, but it's an empire.
And 400 years after Jesus died, that's a lot of years.
Yassine, you haven't thought this through.
You said 400 years, right?
When did Muslims invade Christian land?
400 years or not?
When did Muslims invade Christian land?
Why can you never answer my question?
In the 7th century.
I don't know. 400 years after Jesus died is your oldest manuscript.
No, that is not true. Listen.
When is the oldest manuscript full?
Right. we got to
New
be
Testament.
we got to be clear about the
That's why I'm making it clear.
right. Yes, we're going
So
to.
when is it?
So let me educate you about the terms. Manuscript can refer to fragments or
Saying
complete
full. That's why I
copies,
said full. You said let's
right?
be clear. I'm saying
And I have answered that question.
full. So 400 years?
It is 4 centuries when Christians had an empire.
Let's say both of them
But
have equal-
Muslims had an empire in the 7th century, and you can't provide a Quran from the 7th
Right, right.
century.
So they were
Why
weak
not?
and stupid and
Why?
whatever.
Why did the
One
Quran?
is
Why is there
100
no
years late.
Quran?
Okay.
Exactly. Why is that?
Okay.
Yeah. Why is that?
I don't know why it is. One is 100 years late and one is 400 years
Shall I
late.
tell you why? Because Muslims changed their Quran, and they
How
destroyed
can you
the
say that
evidence they
while
predate. That
there
predate.
is in the Bible.
There are, that you,
There's
are you aware?
contradictions
Are
in
you
the
aware
Bible.
there?
There's
Are you aware there are contradictions in the Quran? Do you want me to show you one? All right, then. Let me show you a contradiction in the Quran.
While you're showing me, what about
Yeah.
the contradiction in the Bible? How do Christians usually explain that?
Well, it depends on the contradiction.
Like age contradiction.
It depends on the contradiction.
So you're saying every contradiction has an explanation.
Every contradiction I've encountered has an explanation.
But what about the fact that there's
So
different
now
sects?
you wanted me to show you a contradiction. So let me show you a contradiction. Okay? So in Surah 7, 109, in Surah 7, 109, do you want to read it or shall I? Okay, so I'll read it. In Surah 7, 109, it says this. Said the chiefs of the people of Pharaoh, this is indeed a sorcerer well versed. So who's speaking to who? I'll read it in context so you can pick up the context. Okay. Pharaoh said, I'm reading from 106. Pharaoh said, if indeed thou hast come with a sign, show it forth, if thou tellest the truth. Then Moses threw his rod, and behold, it was a serpent plain for all to see. And he drew out his hand, and behold, it was white to all the beholders. Said the chiefs of the people of Pharaoh, this is indeed a sorcerer well versed. His plan is to get you out of your land. Then what is it ye counsel? So who's speaking to who? You've got to pay attention. You're not a good listening, Yasin. Look, it literally says it said the chiefs of the people. Well, he's speaking to Pharaoh because Pharaoh is the one.
Said the chiefs of the people to the Pharaoh?
Look,
What verse is it?
109. We'll do this slowly. Surah 7, verse 109.
The elders of Pharaoh's people said, surely this man is a skillful magician.
So who's
He seeks
speaking to
drive
who?
you out of your land.
Who's speaking to who?
The elders of the Pharaoh's people. But I don't know who they're speaking to.
Right.
He said.
Well, who do you think they're speaking to?
The Pharaohs?
Where
Pharaoh
was
himself?
Yeah, exactly, because Moses is in Pharaoh's court, right? And Pharaoh is the ruler. So when you're going to address, you're not going to address the common man, the servant. You're going to address who? You're going to address the ruler, aren't you?
Okay.
So they're addressing Pharaoh.
Nice.
Am I being fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Surah 7, 109. Let's go to Surah 26, 33. Surah 26.
Pharaoh put off Moses and his brother for a while and sent forth heralds to the cities to summon every skillful magician to your presence.
Sorry, Surah 6, verse 34. It says, Pharaoh said to the chiefs around him, this is indeed a sorcerer well versed. His plan is to get you out of your land by his sorcery. Then what is it ye counsel? So who said what to who?
Wait, how's that contradiction?
Right. So in one verse, it said that I said to you. In the other verse, it said that you said to me.
Didn't say I.
I'm using
I read the same
all right.
verses, bro.
Oh, my brother. Oh, you really.
What do you mean? You
All
said
right.
I said to you. No. It doesn't.
Pay attention.
I'm paying.
In one verse, it said that Pharaoh said to the chief priests, which you can logically think of as person A says to person B. In the other verse, it says that the chiefs said to Pharaoh, which is the equivalent of saying person B says to person A. That's a contradiction. It's either person A or person B. Who is it? Did you get it? Did you understand it? Did you understand it? Who else was listening? Did you understand it? Did you understand?
Explain it to me right
Yasin, how is it that everyone around us understands it except
We're
you?
going to test everyone's recording.
He's pretty much saying in one instance Pharaoh is speaking, but in another instance it's another person speaking
To Pharaoh.
to Pharaoh.
Yeah, show me that.
So it's either Pharaoh speaking or someone speaking to Pharaoh. Which one is it?
Shall we do this again?
Surah 6:34. Messengers before you have been given the light to, and they endured with patience, and they're being given the light to.
No, Surah 26.
This is Surah 26.
26. Yasin, bro, you got to listen. Less pride, less arrogance, more humility leads to more learning. Right? If you weren't so arrogant and so proudful that you're the better man because you're the Muslim,
I already believe
right?
it regardless.
I know
I'm sorry
exactly.
to say.
And look what it's done to you.
What?
Your pride has stopped up your ears. You can't listen.
I heard 6 instead of 26.
Everybody else heard what I had to say. Right, listen. Surah 26, Ayah 34. Pharaoh said to the chiefs around him, this is indeed a sorcerer well versed. His plan is to get you out of your land by his sorcery. What then is it ye counsel? Who's speaking according to that passage?
Pharaoh to the chiefs.
The Pharaoh to the chiefs.
The first one-
Now let's go to Surah 7, verse 1, it does help if I actually go to Surah 7. Bear with us. Sorry, I was back in Surah 9. Surah verse 109.
Surah what?
Surah 7, verse 109 said the chiefs of the people of Pharaoh, this is indeed a sorcerer well versed. His plan is to get you out of the land. Then what is it ye counsel? So who said what?
And then it said they advised Pharaoh, put off Moses and his brother for a while, and send forth heralds to your cities, summon every skillful magician to your presence.
So who said
and
what
the
then?
magicians came to Pharaoh and said, shall we have a reward if we
Great,
win?"
so who said what? Now answer the question, who said what?
Oh, Java's group?
Who said these words? This is indeed a sorcerer well versed. Was it the chiefs to Pharaoh, or was it the Pharaoh to the chiefs? Who said those words?
The elders of Pharaoh's people said, surely this man is a skillful magician. So you're saying that because the Pharaoh said it and the elders said it, that's a contradiction?
Right.
Or
It is a contradiction. It is a contradiction. And here's why. Listen carefully to the words. Right? This is what, and this is where you've just got to think a bit deeper. If you're less arrogant and less proudful, you can learn more. Just think about the logical contradiction of this. That in Surah 9 said the chiefs of the people of Pharaoh, this is indeed a sorcerer. His plan is to get you out of your land. Then what is your counsel? They said. Right? They said.
So it says,
Now-
is indeed a skilled magician.
Yes,
It's a convo.
right? So,
Conversation.
correct. But listen,
It's not a contradiction.
if it's they
I have
said,
verses in the Bible that say he's 22 and he's 20 and he's 42.
listen.
There's hundreds of these
So
in
you're
the Bible.
you're saying they just said the same thing to one another at the
it's a
same time.
conversation. No, does it say they said that at the same time? It doesn't.
Your logic is that.
But is that?
Listen.
Show me another one. Show me another.
No. This is fine. This
that the
this one
only one?
works. This one works. No, I've got
This one
more.
works.
I've got more.
Yeah.
This one
Can you
works.
show me the other one?
I've got more. This one works. Right? So it's the same point in the
I'm
story.
trying to not be arrogant and learn. I'm asking for another example.
No.
You only
This
have
one's
one?
fine. Okay. We'll say you haven't
only
got.
have one.
We have others, but we'll just park
Can I have
it.
another one?
We'll just park it that Yasin doesn't have an answer to it. No, we're not. Park it means we're just going to move on to another a contradiction. So let me show you another contradiction. Let me show you another contradiction.
Show me another one.
Right?
This one is.
Okay.
Very weird.
If you do, you need to go.
Soon, yeah.
When-
would you rather have like 5 minutes?
When,
Like one
okay.
minute?
One more. All right. Here's a contradiction.
'Cause in
Right.
in the Bibles, I can have
Listen.
100 searched up right
Listen. Yes, and we can find lots of contradictions in the Quran. Here's one. In Surah 28:88, it says, everything perishes but Allah's face. So what happens to Allah's shin?
now. Surah 8.
Surah 28:88. Right? Surah 28:88.
perishes except Allah's face.
Yeah.
And do not invoke any other God with Allah. There is no God worthy of worship except Him. Everything is bound to perish except He Himself. All authority belongs to Him, and to Him you will all
Right.
return.
In the Arabic, it doesn't say he himself. In the Arabic, it says his face.
And his face only.
His face. Everything perishes except his face.
Arabic.
That's what it says. It says he's. I don't think this guy can read the Arabic, bro.
And I can actually. كل شيء إلى ولا
Yeah.
وجه.
There's a difference between reciting Arabic and I can read Latin. That doesn't mean I can translate it.
Memorization.
So everything perishes except his face.
So all these official translations are wrong. So when we get
Wait.
contradictions
Do you
from
want to pull
Bible,
up? What do you want?
we get it from
Are you
translation.
trying to run away, Yasin?
I'm not here, bro.
You talked about. You wanted to see another contradiction in the Quran. So let's talk about a contradiction in the Quran. Yeah. In Surah, is it? Have I got the right place? 55, 26. No, I haven't.
The contradictions we find in the Bible. It doesn't
55.
have to
You're
do
trying to run away from the contradiction in the Quran, Yasin. Doesn't help you. It doesn't help you. In Surah 55, 26 and 27 says, all that is on earth will perish, but will abide forever the face of your Lord, full of majesty, bounty and honor.
It's contradictory. Literally says the same thing.
Correct. Now what happens to Allah's shin? What happens to Allah's hands? What happens to the veil of Allah?
How is that contradiction?
Right, is the veil of Allah created or uncreated?
Now you're asking me.
Right?
Let me go learn. I'll come back to
Yasakadi
you next
says, all right, let me give you a gift.
hands? Yeah.
Yes, of course, absolutely. Look,
Sorry you found me.
Yasin, to show that I have no hard feelings, Yasin, to show there's no hard feelings, here's a little gift for you to read to start your learning. Feel free to come and talk to me about it
Probably
again.
come next week.
All right, no worries. You look after yourself. God bless.